Well, Halloween and Reformation Day. The history of Halloween is pagan. It goes back to Druid Ireland. And it was St. Patrick that evangelized Ireland and baptized 120,000 of them and used the three-leaf clover to teach the Trinity. The Druids in Ireland believed the woods were filled full of spirits, demons that needed to be placated. And so they would have sacrifices and leave treats for them, and sometimes have a gourd that had an ugly face on it that they thought would scare away the demons. Sort of like the churches in the Middle Ages would put gargoyles, these ugly faces on there, thinking it would scare away the demons. Obviously, that is not the case. The name of Jesus and faith scares away demons. But we see that Patrick evangelized Ireland. Unfortunately, those pagan practices came down through history, called Halloween. But on that same day, October 31st, in the year 1517, is when Martin Luther decided to nail his 95 thesis questions on the door of Wittenberg Church in Germany. And that's how you would challenge someone to a debate. It was the bulletin board of the town. Sort of like some towns will put things on telephone poles if you want to have a lost dog or a garage sale, right? Well, back then you would post things on the church door. And little did he know, he was an Augustinian priest, that this would start something called the Reformation, which would change Europe and the world forever. And so the Holy Roman Emperor was Charles V of Spain, and he was in his 20s at the time, and he was the most powerful ruler in the Western world. And on the other side was the Ottoman Empire, the Muslim leader. And of course, you had India with Maharajas, and then the Chinese emperors on the way other side of the world. But you had Martin Luther, 1517, and the Reformation that started. And he didn't realize that instead of debating the topic, someone just came and said, you have to change your views or you're in trouble. And his attitude was, show me where I'm wrong. And since it caused such a stir that the Charles V of Spain decided that he was going to remove protection of Martin Luther. And when he came out, he was kidnapped. And everybody thought, that's it, he's dead. Well, he was hidden in a castle, in a ceiling, in a hidden room, and he spent the time translating the New Testament into German, into Hochdeutsch, High German. And this actually set the German language. It was sort of like what Shakespeare and the King James Bible did for England is what Martin Luther did for Germany. And he would have it in their language, and it began to spread. The printing press had been invented in the West just a few generation earlier. And so the previous practice was that a heretic would have all of his works gathered together and burnt. They couldn't do that with Martin Luther's because of the printing press, and so this began to spread. Well, there is politics thrown in, as usually is the case, and some princes that had been wanting to break away from the control of Rome decided that they were going to be Lutheran. And it's sort of ironic because Luther had a personal revelation, the just shall live by faith, but these princes decided, hey, everybody in my kingdom, you're Lutheran whether you like it or not. So later there was a pietist revival that swept through, saying it's more than just doctrine. You have to have a personal experience and relationship with Jesus. Anyway, some interesting things. When Martin Luther started the Reformation, they had the Muslims surround Vienna. Just a few years later, in 1529, the Turks, the Ottoman Turks. And so the Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V of Spain, by this time, he is feeling a double dilemma on his hands. The Protestant Reformation on one side and the Muslim invasion on the other side, with the Muslims surrounding Vienna. And so by the year 1555, Charles V of Spain decides to strike a deal with the Lutheran princes. It's called the Peace of Augsburg. And it is the first treaty that recognizes the Protestant movement. And in there is a little Latin phrase, Curios regio eius religio, which means whose is the reign, his is the religion. This let all the different kings in Europe believe different things. And this began the idea of spilling over and founding colonies, where every colony in America had a little different version of Christianity. And they didn't get along until the Revolutionary War started. And they all had to work together against the King of England. A long story, but it goes back to the Reformation, October 31st, which happens to be the date of Halloween. And we remember St. Patrick evangelizing these Druids and finding Ireland heathen and leaving it Christian. And he died there in the 5th century. Thanks for watching. God bless.